Good to go.
All right, thank you all for attending the June 25th, 2020 Parks, Rec, and Family Services Committee. Present is myself, Councilmember Joyce Love, Councilmember Kathy Fahey. Other members present, Councilmember Mike O'Brien, Councilmember Alfredo Bellerin, Councilmember Hoey, I believe Councilmember Frederick, and Common Council President Corey Ellis is present. From the city of Albany is Commissioner Jonathan Jones. Let's see here, Paul Collins Hackett, Tyrell Hughes, Linda DiPietro. I believe that's it. Now entered is Councilmember Robinson. I believe we're all set here. Is that it there, JR?
That's everybody.
Okay. I've asked Danielle to start off by reading the public comment. Just Jonathan Jones may be able to answer right off the bat before he does the presentation, if that's all right. Danielle?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
The comment was submitted by Aprecia Cabe, and it says, I am writing today to advocate for the youth of the city of Albany. I have received many calls from parents and youth about the reopening of community centers. Will the boxing gym and community centers be reopened according to the governor's orders of phase 4 beginning July 1st?
So to answer that question, and Aprecia was once our director at the boxing gym. So I'm glad that she was able to chime in on that. But with that is we're working with the mayor to open up our community centers as fast as we can. Obviously, phase 4, hopefully we'll get to that point this time next week. But with that, our staff have been retained throughout the full weeks. And our first step is going to be to thoroughly disinfect all of our centers. The boxing gym, the Lincoln gym, Arbor Hill Community Center, Hoffman Community Center will be thoroughly disinfected. And we're gonna come up with a plan for that. We do not have a date as of yet. However, we will make sure that we put that out there way before we open up for service.
Sounds good. Is somebody going to now go over the Lite program, where we at right now?
Yeah, Michelle, can I share do you have the presentation to share? And I could just walk on to that.
Hold on one second. We're gonna.
Okay.
You should have the capabilities now, Mr. Commissioner Jones.
Oh, I should, okay. 1 second.
And Jack, just to let you know, Councilwoman Duche is entering in the meeting as well now.
Okay, for the record, Judy Duche, Councilwoman Judy Duche is here, and I believe I forgot to mention Justin from Parks and Rec is here also.
I do not, let's see, maybe let me try this again.
If you can't, I have the presentation too. I can share my screen and pull it up.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just because for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to share it.
And Jack, just for the record, President Pro Tem Kelly Kimbrough is entering the meeting as well.
Okay, Common Council President Kelly Kimbrough is entering. Thank you.
Sure. Is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're going to start out with a timeline to give you some understanding about where we've been since March. As many of you know, we start our program planning in the fall. We begin in September. And by the time we had gotten to February, we were able to have one registration in March at Giffen. That took place on March 11th. We had 114 young people and their families come and sign up. And then COVID hit right around that same time, maybe a week after, March 20th, and our program went into suspension. In the months of April and May, we began to consider other options that our program can run, whether that be a reduced schedule for young people, virtual, using our school buildings, or looking at other sites where our businesses will hire young people on their own. We never had an intention on cutting the program. That is not something we ever even thought about, but there was funding cuts. And so one decision that was made was to be consistent with other cities and counties to have our summer youth employment program be on the money that we usually can count on, which is TANF, that has a 200% poverty threshold. So a family of 3 making $42,000 would be eligible. And we were also under new guidance in terms of our registrations, how we would be able to hold our registrations. They wouldn't be in person. And so we went through a digital process, and we began that in June. We opened up our registration in June, on June 10th, and we were also complying with New York Forward after New York Pause. So with that, the TANF funds were the only funds that we believe we would count on. The city was not in a position to support as they have in previous years. And on July 10th, we opened up our registrations. This week, we made a decision to extend based on guidance, information that we got from young people and families about documentations that they needed in order to get into the program. So we're extending that until July 1st. And our worksite application is alive, so we can have businesses now sign up to work with our young people and be matched. During the month of July, after July 1st, we'll begin our matching process, as well as our connections with businesses. Each business that will allow a young person on site will be monitored on site by our staff to ensure that they can comply with the social distancing and New York Forward guidelines that the governor has issued. And our program will begin right there on July 20th. Our program will end on August 14th, and we will have our virtual Fridays. Those enrichment sessions will be done virtually. We will not be able to be on the college and university campus like in years prior. Yes, you can keep going. So this next slide shows you our Lite enrollment process. So a prospective young person, youth employee, will complete the application online. Once they complete the application, they will have to turn in sensitive documents. We've been able to do that and be socially distant. If they do not have the documents, or if they have completed the application, they're missing documents, we contacted those young people and their families to ask them to bring in the information, and they have up until the close of our program to do so. After we have our final list of young people who are in the program, each young person will get a student interest survey. This will allow us to know more about that young person in terms of their career interests, as well as where they are looking to be once they become a professional. That's going to allow us to match more appropriately. Then the young person will complete a virtual orientation. And then from there, they'll be matched with the youth employee, with the worksite. The youth employee will be matched with the worksite. And then that's when they begin their program. Next slide, please. Okay, Deputy Tucker, I'm going to have you.
Okay, so in terms of last year's 2019, our capacity, our enrollment was open, so we had 1,200 young people apply for positions. The shift from this year, the capacity has decreased drastically. Number one, due to funding, and number two, due to work sites availability. As a result of COVID, things have changed. A lot of work sites, for example, the camps, are not accepting as many individuals following social distancing and to be safe. So that's the change from last year to this year. Another change is on-site registration, as commissioners had mentioned. We shifted from that to the online platform. We were able to have one before COVID hit. The number of work sites will drastically decrease as well. We're moving forward to doing more virtual type workshops. Last year in 2019, we had over 125 traditional work sites where young people were able to be placed in positions and go to traditional work sites day to day for that experience. Again, on campus experience, Fridays for enrichment, that took place for the past couple of years. But as you know, with campuses being closed and following social distancing and being safe, everything is being shifted to the virtual platform. And we're moving from field trips to more virtual Friday activities. The young people will remain to work 24 hours per week. That shift will be from 5 weeks from last year to a total of 4 weeks this year due to planning and situations that were beyond our control. But in addition to that, you see the shift in terms of increase in minimum wage from last year, $11 and $10 to this year, 11 and 80 cents.
Thank you. Linda, you want to talk about the process that we typically go through in terms of matching and how long that takes versus this year? And then we can move to the next slide. Oh, Linda's on mute. If we could unmute her for just a second.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
When our summer youth turns in an application, they tell us 3 of their top choices. When we enter them into our database, we make that notation. When our work sites come in and the matching starts, we try to match the children by their first choice. Sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes some work sites will send us a request for certain summer youth. And then they would be matched if that child would like to go to that work site and that work site requests them, then that's a match.
Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? So one of the things, and I've spoken to several Common Council members this year about how you can help. And there's this piece here is directed to you. Financially, we still to this day, I had a meeting this morning at 8:30 with the state to understand where they are in terms of releasing tenant funds. Those funds have not been released to anyone in the entire New York State. We're all waiting that allocation. It may be reduced this year, so that is also something we'll need to consider, but the mayor has put her full support behind this program. I have as well. And there are other opportunities that we can help our young people get into. So one way you can support, if you have businesses, Jack, I know you have several businesses in your community that may be interested in hiring young people on their own. That would be very beneficial to our program if they're not tenant eligible. You can get the word out now that we've extended the program. Again, we can let people know that they have until July 1st at 4 p.m. to complete the registration process. Our Friday enrichments, many people, Wusu has been there. Alfredo has also been talking to our young people on Fridays. We'll need more support from caring adults there to introduce different career opportunities as well as what you do as council members or in your profession. And then the last piece is to help us secure locations for youth employees. A lot of our young people have expressed to us that even though if they have their Chromebooks, they may need a hotspot, they may need other things to help them once they get into the position, and that's one way we would need your help to get that going. There was another slide about enrichment. I'll just touch on that briefly. Those are going to take place on Fridays. It just shows you the topics which we'll cover. Obviously, this is about career prep, but it's also about post-secondary education and the opportunities that young people can take advantage of, technical skills, hard and soft skills, and about themselves. What we found last year is a lot of young people don't know their strength A, strength B. They don't know their weaknesses. And a lot of what we want to do this year is going to be able to help them identify where their strengths and weaknesses are so that they can enrich themselves and at the same time build more strength on some of the areas that they have strength in to contribute to our city. Lastly, I'll say I know this has been very difficult for everyone. It's been very difficult for us as well. We had a lot of plans for this summer. We will not have a end of the year recognition event like we had last year with thousands of people inside the Bleecker Stadium. We will do that virtually, part of our Play Streets initiative. However, the goal of this program is to have a meaningful experience and serve who we can with what we have. And that's been our goal all along. And with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you. Kathy?
What?
Hi, Kath, how are you? I'm going to ask.
I have a couple of questions about, now, how many placements have been made up to this point with employers?
We have not made any placements as of yet. We're still collecting youth applications, and then we'll make the placements after the worksite applications come in.
And how many employers do you have at this point?
At this point, Paul, can you touch on that? I don't have that or Linda, do you have that slide in front of you?
Yeah. Our worksite applications just went live today on the city's website, so we anticipate a lot coming in. As of right now, we have about 10 or 15 that are willing to do in-person and host youth physically at their sites. Outside of that, we have about another 10 or 15 more that are going to do virtual sessions, including tours and things like that are social distance worthy.
Can you tell me more about the hotspots? What would be involved in that? I'm sorry, I'm not that little technologically challenged here. Can you talk about that, the hotspots that are needed?
Sure. Yeah, the hotspots are basically devices that allow young people to get on the internet. Some people have mobile hotspots on their phone. So like right now, I'm in the office, but I'm using my phone to connect with you. And so that would allow young people who don't have connectivity hardwired in their house to be able to join our virtual sessions throughout the summer.
And do you have a sense of what the need is there, Jonathan?
Not yet. We'll know once we get back the student interest survey about who has what type of connectivity and if they have Chromebooks still from their various schools.
And what is there, do you know how much that costs? And then you're looking for donations for those?
I don't have a figure. I can get one for you, but I don't think it's not more than, I would say, $200, $300. It may not even be that much.
And it's like a time limited type thing?
Some are time limited, some are bandwidth limited. So you couldn't have 10 computers going on in your house off of them. But there's different variations of hotspots that,
Okay, so we'll be interested to hear more about that and what the need is as you go along.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go out of order as a result. I know some of the council members have to attend an event at 6 o'clock. So President Pro Tem Kelly Kimbrough, do you have anything to say? Because I know you have to leave. Can we unmute?
No. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm all set. I don't have any questions at this point. Thank you.
Councilwoman Joyce Love, do you have anything to say right now?
Hi, Commissioner Jones. Yeah, I know you just said that the applications are on the city website, but like some of the youth that worked last year, are you touching base with them? Are you sending them letters, or everybody have to just realize that they got to go on the website?
No, we haven't sent them letters. I can tell you we haven't done that. We have contacted some young people who have been in our program previously, and some of those young people were in a continuous program that the governor gave us funds for throughout the school year. But we haven't got to the point where we're able to write them letters. And that's why we really need your support to let each of your constituents know in your ward that this program is still live and there's still a possibility to be in.
Okay, that's a bet. Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Robinson?
Thank you.
Robinson?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I got on the meeting a little late. Just a question. So the primary funding that's gone, the funding stream for the Summer Youth Employment Program is going to be the TANF funds?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Temporary Assistance for Needy Families is the full name of it. It comes from ODTA by the state. It's federal government money. New York State this year, previous to COVID, had $44 million allocated. That money right now is in the New York State Department of Budget, and we're awaiting, answers on what our allocation will look like this year. But it is perceived there will be a significant, if not reduced, allocation to all cities and counties that are participating.
Gotcha. And also, would it be possible to get a list of because you said that the youth normally have 3 choices, career paths that they want to choose. Is it possible we can get that list so, we can know what community partners we have that we may can, partner with to employ?
Sure.
Some of those. Okay.
Jack, Derek Johnson had his hand up on here.
Okay, Derek, you're on.
Thank you, JR. My question is, it seems like the direction that the city is going in is a reduced program, and why aren't we following the same? A lot of times I hear us referring to in New York City, they're providing summer jobs for all age groups. And it seems like when I talked to the mayor, she said that 14-year-olds won't be eligible this year.
No, that's not true. Our program is 14 to 18. New York City has 1 million kids. They offer 20,000 jobs. They're offering 1,200 this year. They were on the call earlier this morning. That's why I could say that. But with that, this is where we are. It's a reduced schedule. It's a reduced work sites, possibly because businesses are closed, but we're moving forward with our program, and we never thought of canceling. 30% of large cities, according to the Aspen Institute, have canceled their program, and that's not even on the table for us.
So my question, the follow-up is that the mayor said that we were going to provide a complete program, even if we didn't have that funding. And what I'm hearing is that we are doing a limited program, and I want to know, why are we doing a limited program if the mayor is telling the council people that she's going to do whatever she needs to do to make sure that we reach as many kids as we can? And if she's telling us that that type of communication, why are we having a conversation? And basically, we're, everybody is aware of what COVID did to the community and the funding, and our conversation is not consistent with what is needed in terms of trying to provide our kids a chance to get out of the house. Kids have been locked up in the house for 4 months, and we're looking forward to this summer program. So as an advocate of the youth, we have to, make sure that the effort is matched, because, in the past, that's one thing that we can both agree, that the summer youth, from the financial piece, has been important to our families. So, I have to advocate to see if we can reach and touch as many kids as we can, because we don't want people left out. So that's my concern about what I'm hearing, and especially after talking to the mayor and her saying that regardless of what monies that we had in hand, that we were going to try to do as much as we could for our youth.
I can't speak to the conversation you've had with the mayor. I can just say that the city has supplied the supplemental funds, the $890,000 for this program. We've always had TANF for part of this program. Last year, we had 478 young people who were paid out of TANF in this program. And without the city funds, this is the only option we have on the table to be able to serve some of our constituents.
Thank you.
Jack, we have Judy and then Alfredo in the queue.
All right, Judy.
Judy, you're muted.
I'm looking in the PowerPoint presentation for the link for the application process. And I'm also looking on the city website, and I'm not finding it.
The length of the program?
Well, and the application process. Yeah, both.
Well, the length of the program will begin on July 20th. It's on slide 2, where the Lite enrollment process, that slide. So we'll start on July 20th and end on August 14th. So it's reduced by 1 week at this point. And on the city's website, that once you click on it, you go through the application. I believe in the body, before you even get into the typing of your name and information, it tells you about when our program starts and when our close date is.
But how do I get to that? It's not on the banner page. I'm in the recreation department looking at forms. Where is this information about this program?
Well, I can send you the link. If it's not on the banner page, then I'll make sure we keep it on the banner page. That's not handled by our office, but I will make sure that if it is not on the banner page currently.
Hey, Judy, it's just real quick. It's under the Summer Youth Employment Program. I see the application Access 2020 Worksite application. Is that what we're referring to?
Okay, so where is the Summer Youth Employment Program? How do I get to it from, like, I've gone through the menu for government and into recreation? Am I in the wrong department?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, Councilman.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's under Youth and Workforce Services, Summer Youth Employment Program.
Youth and Workforce Service. Okay, thank you very much. And So how many slots are you anticipating? I've had some background noise here when you were doing part of your presentation. I'm wondering if you said something about that. I apologize if I'm asking a duplicative question.
No worries. We anticipate no more than 575 young people. Last year, as I mentioned, we had 478 that were TANF eligible, that were a part of our program. With COVID and with the economic downturn, we anticipate that at least 100 families will now be eligible. There's a process, an eligibility process that needs to be done by the ODTA folks first to verify that the parents' income is also TANF eligible. But one thing that did change this year, Governor Cuomo signed into effect that youth who are working in the summer youth employment program, that does not count against the family income for DSS. In years prior, many young people would enroll, and that $1,200 or whatever they received while they were in the program would count towards the overall family income. This year and moving forward, that will not be an impediment to families getting the services they need.
And the income limits, are they someplace on this website at this point?
Yes, they're on the cover
I'm looking
page.
for, what I tell my residents. What is, the key points here that I send out about the application process, how many slots and income limits?
Yeah, the income guideline for the 200% threshold is on there. I mentioned earlier, if you're a family of 3 making $42,000, you would be eligible in this program. So that's just a guideline and a note we've used over time.
And a family of 4?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, but the full list is there. It starts with a single person and goes all the way down to, I believe, a family of 8.
Okay, I'll keep on looking. Thank you.
No problem.
Alfredo, do you have a question?
Actually, Julie asked the main question that I had was how many spots do we have this year? The other question I had, have you seen a reduction in applications compared to how many applications we had last year at this time to how many applications we have at this time, this point?
Well, we have seen a reduction in applications, but remember this program changed to only being TANF eligible this year. So there was going to be some reduction no matter what. However, one of the challenges and the reason why we extended it was some of our young people are having difficulty getting the financial and paperwork that they need, working papers that they need. So this allowed us to give them another full week to get that documentation to us so that we could enroll them without hesitation by the start of our program.
Okay, and do we have anything going on for the kids that are not going to be eligible? Do we have any other activities or initiatives focused on trying to do something for those 2 kids that won't be eligible for this program, but that's roughly another 700 kids that would have been a part of it normally, but because we don't have the funding, can't be a part of it now. Do we have anything else for those students?
So we haven't got final determination on that. What our plan is through our Youth and Workforce Services Department, there's youth money that is in school and out of school. And what we are asking for is a determination. Our young people have not been in school in 14 weeks, maybe 15 weeks at this point. Would they count as out of school youth? And if they would count as out of school youth, then we can use federal money directly from the federal government to enroll them in a program. And that may happen in the fall. That may just roll over into our existing fall programs that we piloted the last couple of years, but we don't have final determination on that as of yet.
Okay, my last question, and it doesn't have to do with the youth program specifically, but do you have any idea of when the basketball hoops will go back up and will get reopened?
So the pools will be open on July 3rd. The mayor's directed us to do that. For basketball rims, our basketball rims will be put up under the governor's guidance after July 6th. And I understand everyone wants to have basketball. The NBA is not playing. LeBron James isn't playing basketball right now. The issue with basketball, it is a high contact sport. To you and I, who shoot from the outside the paint, we may not be, engage in that much contact. But for Tyrell and everybody who still plays hard and goes in the paint when him and I play, it can get aggressive. And at the same time, the amount of transmission that would be possible just puts our communities at a health risk. And I will say that publicly, as the commissioner, as long as I am commissioner, I will follow the health guidelines because it is my job to keep our city safe. And as much as possible, I want to put the basketball rims up yesterday, but I just, in good faith and in good conscience about what the health professionals are saying, basketball rims in our city, particularly in the wards that love to play basketball, and that's all 15, it will put our city at a point where we would go back into New York pause, and none of us want that. And so if we can just have maybe 2 more weeks of discipline, you can still go to the court and dribble. You can do drills and skills. The governor has allowed for youth sports to begin to take place on skills and drills, but we're not going to put the basketball rims up until we get guidance that clears us to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Alfredo, when the basketball hoops are put up, we'll have a social distance game of horse with me, Commissioner Jones, and whoever wants to play.
I would love that. I would love
I'm in
that.
on that one. I
Yeah,
gotta
please.
practice a little bit though.
That's all right. Councilmember
Michael.
O'Brien, you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I know Monday we're going to have a meeting about expanded uses of the golf course. So I guess my question to Commissioner Jones is, do we have any youth that are interested in pursuing golf? That's one of the questions we're going to ask the superintendent of the golf course on Monday.
You know,
And
that's,
I believe,
yeah.
and I believe you're coming to that.
I believe I am actually. Yes, I
Yeah.
am coming to that meeting. Monday seems so far away, but with that, we'll learn more about the student interest through that student interest survey. We'll know if they want to play golf, if they want to work at the golf course. That's been a site historically, and so we'll learn more about what they want to do there. But if we have any young people that want to be there, I'm all for it. I want to continue that.
Okay.
Jonathan,
Mhm.
I was wondering, you have the Youth Opportunity Office. Has that been completely closed down? Have you had any contact with the youth in our community? Just wondering if you have any, you know, if you have, and what the youth have been saying, what have they been doing with their time, and so on and so forth. What are some of the concerns?
Yeah, so I have been able to talk to some youth either through mentorship with different schools, through Google Classroom or through Zoom. And we have, the governor gave us some funding to continue summer youth through the academic year. And that was a group of about 20 young people, plus the dollar-wise funds in collaboration with Underground Railroad. And so on 2 Fridays ago, I had a conversation with them to, you know, ask them what is really going on in their lives. Many young people are just tired of being outside the house. I get it. On top of it, many young people were also concerned with the mental health aspects of what is going on in the world. For a lot of them, the world outside doesn't seem to be the world they once knew before COVID happened. And they got a chance to engage with caring adults, being at school, being in community centers and programs. And since that's been shut down, there's a mental health aspect of, you know, what's going on with the world that has really been challenging for young people. But all of our young people have expressed optimism about joining this summer. They understand it'll be remote for the most part, and they're kind of professionals on Zoom. So they've also taught me a few things about breakout groups and such.
Thank
I do
you.
have another question.
What's that, JR?
I just Jamel, I had another
Go for it.
question.
All right, good.
Okay. Commissioner, so is it possible, because we just received CARES money for COVID-related grant opportunities? Is there any way that those type of funds can be used to start some type of employment program dealing with COVID-related items?
That's a good question, and one I think I would need to talk to the mayor and admin support to understand what funds and if there's any restrictions on that. I know that we've been talking to the census as well as the county about contact tracing for our 18-year-olds and older that would be there, but I don't know what CARES money. I don't know the dollar amount, and I think if it's possible, then definitely I want to do it. I want to serve all of our young people. I'm not in this business to isolate young people or ostracize young people experiences. I happen to be one of those young people that benefited greatly throughout my life because of government programs. So if we can use that money to support it and supplement it, I'm all for it, and would love to have a conversation with the administrative services and the mayor about what that looks like.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I had a constituent reach out to me and she gave me an idea regarding maybe the youth can take sewing classes to make masks for it. So I think that's a great
that's
idea.
Awesome. If you want to send her the worksite application, that sounds like a beautiful worksite.
So,
thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Frederick, did you have a question? I can't see you. Okay. JR, is there anybody else that has a question?
Not that I see.
So I have a few questions. How many people, did you ask how many people have already applied? Did I miss that? Right now, up to date, how many kids have applied?
No, Linda, you want to go through the numbers where we are so far?
So far, on March 11th, when we registered at Giffen, we took in 114 youth.
Yep.
Our application went up online on June 10th.
Yep.
We have taken in 463 applications online. They still have one more week. We created a Dropbox system at Bleecker Stadium. So they could bring their payroll papers to us. They could bring their working paper card, copies of any documents that we need. If we receive an application and they're incomplete, we have either phoned them or sent them an email or have done both to help them correct whatever documents that are missing. And like I said, we're still up for another week. Bleecker Stadium is available to them anytime to call for help. We have actually gone online and have helped several children through the process that didn't understand it. They can call. We answer any questions at any time to help them get through this process.
All right, so how many kids right now have incomplete applications as a result of paperwork?
Right now, I can tell you we have 281 ready to go. And the other ones we've been in touch with them. Part of the delay with some of our applications are the working paper cards because the schools have been closed.
Yeah, that's
so that's been a struggle of trying to get the working paper cards.
So my question is, if we have 281 and we're budgeting, quote unquote, for 575, this may be Jonathan Jones, are we going to open it up another way, or are we just going to go with that?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't understand. We have 281.
Right now, you said as of right now, 575 is available that we're budgeting for, or whatever, however we want to term it. If we do not fill that, are we going to open up to other income-based families possibly?
Well, if they're income-based, they would readily apply, and I don't know if we would need to open it up any further. But if there is an outstanding situation where they were waiting on documentation and they missed the July 1st deadline and they're TANF eligible, I'm willing to at least understand what we can do for them where we're at.
Right. So what I'm saying is, as of July 1st, if we only have 300 kids working and we are able to have 575, are we going to open up to just the whole city of Albany kids? Or
no, we're not going to do that because the funds that we're using is restricted to only pay for kids who are income eligible.
Okay. Okay. So that was my question. All righty. What else else have a question here.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Jack,
Yes.
Joyce is saying
Joyce?
something.
Yeah, go for it, Joyce.
Commissioner Jones, how can we help our constituents as far as getting their paperwork? What can we do?
That is great. On the city website, on our application, there's a number for the school district direct line. And the school district has confirmed with me as late as yesterday that they have staff ready to provide our young people with their working papers. If they can just call that number, it may be a lot of people on the line. It may sound like you call in Verizon or something, maybe on hold for a bit. But if that could be some help, that I think would really help us a lot. That is the biggest impediment right now is the working cards and some of their Social Security not being what it has been open in access. But the working cards and that number that we put on the city website, that is the biggest piece.
Okay. All right.
John, I have a question from a constituent. They asked if there are any priorities for disabilities, those with disabilities, jobs.
Priorities, yeah, we have sites that are ADA compliant, and they would get those sites, and that is one of the priorities. The funding is attached to that income eligibility, so there's not anything we can directly do for that population outside of that. But we will put them on a site that is ADA compliant, as well as that has mentioned to us that they want to support young people who may have a physical disability.
So you're saying somebody with a disability who doesn't meet the income is not able to work as a child?
Yes, I'm saying all residents need to meet the income eligibility in order to participate this year, unfortunately, given where we are.
Okay. I think that's an issue, but okay. Is there anybody else that has any questions? I just have one more, Jonathan. This is from a constituent. You mentioned that if Congress provides more funding, you can increase the number of, that's true. Would it be awarded in the same manner? Congress.
If
So
Congress,
we're assuming that Congress is not going to give any more money, right?
Mhm.
We can assume that, right? We're done.
not before the start of our program, I don't believe, no.
Right.
However, if Congress was to act, and that's why we kind of held this for a bit, if Congress was to act, that would allow the city to recoup the funds and therefore supplement our program, and we would have the program we've had in years prior. So Congress action is directly tied to the city's contribution to this program. Without it, we're running a TANF program, and that's where we are.
So I would like to jump in on that. I believe Alfredo was present at the conversation that I had with the mayor. So I'm asking you to talk to the mayor because obviously what you're saying today and what she said to us on 2 days ago is not the same thing. And so that's why sometimes we're on different positions of the conversation, because if she's saying that we can, regardless if that money is there, we're going to provide the needed, we're going to meet the need. I think that should be our approach, because she's saying that she'll beg, borrow, and steal, I think exactly what she said, if they don't get that money from the state. So I would like that if you have a conversation with her about what I'm bringing to your attention, because she clearly said that the other day. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alfredo.
I remember that it was last Friday at the meeting, which you mentioned. My only concern is I wasn't sure if she's talking about the tendered grant. If that didn't come through, that if that grant funding didn't come through, that she would still honor those commitments regarding those grant funds. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
That's exactly what she said. So
Yes.
Yeah, so to date, TANF money has not come to the city of Albany. And what she said to me and to all of us in the city that's working on this department and on this program is that if TANF money does not come, that she will find the resources to make sure the youth that went through this process to date will have a summer youth experience, whether because they met the TANF eligibility guidelines. But I don't know if she was talking about with you students or young people who were not TANF eligible. But I will have a conversation with her afterwards to get clarity for sure. But I know to us, she said, if TANF money does not come before the start of the program, that she will ensure that our young people who have went through this process have a summer youth and work experience.
So just to be clear, just to make it 100% clear, so we're saying we're gonna have at least 575 spots, no matter what, even if the grant doesn't come in from the state, we're gonna honor.
Well, let me, yeah. So what I'm saying to that, and I'm going to be very clear, we're going to have every young person that has applied and met eligibility will have a job. I don't know if that's 575 at the end of the process. I don't know where that number will be. But for every young person that goes through this process and meets eligibility, it is my job and our job to make sure they have a work experience. We will do that.
Jonathan, I have one more question. The golf course is the only park that brings in revenue. How much revenue do the other parks bring in?
So I'm going to take my summer youth hat off and recreation. I don't have those figures in front of me right now, but I can tell you that the Twilight League canceled their baseball season and they bring in revenue. I can tell you that none of our fields have been rented at all this year. And
that was
so
my next question.
Yeah, none of our fields at any point have been rented. If people have used them without our knowledge and we shut them down, that's one thing, but none of our fields have been rented. And the Twilight League, which brings in the most revenue on our parks in terms of a rental standpoint, have canceled their season, and this was their 90th year.
Corey, Council President Corey Ellis, is he still there? Does he have a question?
Doesn't have
No, I don't
anything.
have a question at this time.
Okay. Do any other council members have any questions? Oh, you don't got it.
Looks like Alfredo does real quick.
It's not a question, it's more of a suggestion. You know, if we can use whatever resources we have to try to find activities. I know I know it's still a huge number of kids that will not be able to be part of this program. So if we can do something to try to find something to keep those kids engaged, so that those students aren't just, lost in the shuffle. So if there's something we can do to help you raise those funds or find those funds, please know that you have us as your additional resource and allies to try to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And in closing, I would like to add, I find that it's hard that we're not going to service the people the taxpayers. Most of the people that are not going to be income eligible are people who participate in the tax base. So, that's going to be kind of a hard pill for them to swallow, that their kids are going to be excluded.
That's fair. I mean, the same thing in Schenectady and Troy. They only run TANF programs where we've run a wide open program for anyone who, went through the process. But I understand, as a taxpayer, I understand what you were saying. And it is difficult. This is challenging times. No one wants to be in this position. And I just hope that, for who we can serve or what we have, that we do the best we can and that we do find something for other young people who were not eligible to get engaged with, because this has been a long time and it's challenging for everybody.
Kathy Fahey has her hand up.
Here, Kath.
Jonathan, well, first of all, I do want to thank you and all your staff for, I'm sure this has been a big lift for everybody to figure out how to navigate all this. So thank you. The other thing I just wanted to mention was, it just seems that technology is so important in this, across the board, because people are having trouble, social distancing. So I was wondering if occasionally I'll hear about donations of iPads and things like that for youth through different corporations, foundations, and so on. Have you folks explored any of that? Oh, I can't hear, I'm sorry. Here.
I
think Commissioner Jones is frozen.
Okay, I heard the last piece. Thank you, Chair. The last piece I heard was that different corporations may offer PPE, and then I got frozen from that point.
Not PPE. I'm really talking about, it sounds like the technology is going to be so important here to maintain connections with the youth that are involved this summer and then really longer. So I was wondering if, and I hear occasionally of donations of iPads and things like that from foundations, corporations, et cetera. And I was wondering if you folks have looked into that at all or have come across any of that. Those possibilities to help.
I got kicked out again right while you were speaking. But what I will say is that Paul Collins Hackett, our director, has been touching base with a lot of different organizations about what they can do. The mayor and other departments have also been very generous in letting us know that there is going to be face masks for every young people that will participate, as well as our work sites. Paul talked about the 10 to 15 that have already said they are planning on having on-site. After we do our on-site monitoring, all of them have also expressed.
We lost you, Jonathan.
Jonathan, the last 10 seconds were cut off.
I think he's still frozen.
Damn. Can you hear me? No.
Now
we can hear you now. Yeah.
We're talking about things like iPads because you're going to have virtual Fridays and things.
Oh, he just lost complete connection.
Commissioner Tucker's here. Commissioner Tucker, do you want to pick up where he left off?
Yeah, sure. We have reached out. We've been in conversation with the school district to find out for those students who were given Chromebooks and iPads throughout the school year, if they can be extended to hold those devices throughout the summer. So we haven't gotten a final answer yet. They're also going through the process of finding out kids who are responsible to go to summer school. They will need those devices first. So we're in conversation with the school district, but we haven't gotten a firm confirmation yet as to what direction they're going to move towards.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jonathan, I just got a email from Alana Klein, who always is involved, and asked if we do not allocate the 575 when we only have 300, is it possibility the kids can make more per hour, or is that not an option?
Commissioner Jones, you're muted.
I got it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you so much. So
It literally just came in from me, so you may have an answer for Alana, as you probably know.
Sure. So TANF guidelines, the money guidelines is we have to do at least minimum wage. The 575 number, I want to be very clear. It is not $575,000. It's 575 slots. So a young person who will be in our program over the course of the 4-week experience working 20 hours a week at $11.80 can make $944. I'm not sure if we can go over that. That's a discussion we have to have once our final numbers come in, but I would love to pay people more if possible.
So there is a possibility. It depends.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the guidelines say a minimum of minimum wage. Some cities like New York City is going to a stipend. And where they go through a stipend is they don't have to pay minimum wage. They pay you on the modules that you obtain. So for example, if I had 10 modules and I did 5 of them, I would get paid for those 5. We're not going that route. We're going to pay the minimum wage as folks deserve.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, I'd like to thank you all for attending this meeting. If we have no other questions, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Oh, hold on, Tyrell's got a question or a comment?
Hey everybody! I wasn't sure when I could jump in to ask my question, so I didn't want you guys to leave me out there. I had a quick question because I think Linda was saying that a lot of the applicants were having trouble in regards to getting the work permits for the summer. Have we thought of any ideas of ways to circumvent that? Because it seems like if you got 281 ready to go, but we still have so many. You said you got 281 ready to go, but we still have a bunch of applications that are not submitted. Are we gonna try to do anything to circumvent those individuals who are having a difficult time corresponding with Social Security and with getting their work permits from, what's that,
Yes.
Academy Park?
Yes, in those situations, I've been working directly with the partners to kind of troubleshoot wherever we can. So I've been in contact with the guidance counselors. The difficulty has been they're on vacation this week, a couple things like that. We've extended our deadlines, we've given phone numbers, we've made calls personally where we had to. So we're trying to give every accommodation regarding those documents because it's rough for everybody.
Can I?
Yep.
I just want to interject. All the schools are aware that people are trying to get work permits for the summer. So I know a lot of the schools are doing as best they can. This is a directive coming from the top at the school district.
Alfredo?
I was just going to suggest if by July 1st we're only at 300 or 350, the program doesn't start until June 20th. So even if we gave another week to try to get these this paperwork, I mean, the fact that you've got over 580, you have roughly about 580 applications. So, you know, if the issue is now getting the working papers because the school districts, because of everything that's going on, I would hate to hinder the program anymore. So if any flexibility can be done to try to allow more students or more extensions so that we can try to get that at least get to that 500 number. If we can get to the 575, that'd be great. But, luckily we have a little bit of time. I mean, that's how I see it. I see July 20th. I know that you got to start doing matches, but if you could start doing matches with your 300 people you have now, and then start working, and whoever comes in, it gives you more opportunity to get as many kids in there as possible.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had some connectivity issues and missed it, but I will say that the last thing I heard was about the 200 kids we have and when they can get put in. We're going to work as fast as we can to get them all matched. The challenge is that, as Linda said, we give our young people the option of working in a path that they want to be in. And so we have to find out from them where they want to be in order to properly address them, put them in a place where they should be for their own career pathways. The reason why we do this, though, is because it is in our best interest and for our young people to have a good experience where they want to be in their top three. Because if we don't put them there, say, for example, you don't like kids and you're at a child camp, you're not going to have a good experience, and the employer and you as an employee are not going to get the best out of each other. So that's why we do that. We learned that after 2017, and that's why we do that.
Thank you.
No, and just my only suggestion was to be flexible and be able to extend the time if needed. If you don't get the numbers, that was the main gist of what I was trying to get. Thank you.
Commissioner, how are we doing on lifeguards? I know sometimes it's tough to get lifeguards.
Yeah, let me take that hat off again and put this one on. Lifeguards, to date, we have about 58. We've been recruiting pretty well. And I got to say, kudos to the city allowing us to be able to hire them. We have 58 and right now ready to go. They start training on next week. And so our pools are being operated right now to open on July 3rd as the mayor directed. And some of those young people have been in summer youth previously, and now they're going to be, working in our city as a lifeguard. So that's encouraging. So thank you for that question.
Is that part of the TANF or is that part of our budget?
No, that's part of the city's budget. That's not TANF money, no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my other question is, how many parks possibly may not have any youth working? Do you have an idea? Like which ones won't have anybody because of the number?
Parks having youth working?
No, like no kids at all, or is every park going to have at least some type of youth working?
No, so our kids don't work directly at parks anymore. That we've worked with PAL and we work with Boys and Girls Club, and they may have programs at a park, but we don't set our kids up in the park and they work with a maintenance crew or they work with a programming crew. But we're done with setting our kids up with brooms and rakes. No.
So the kids at Monte Cristi, They work just in the pool area. They don't work in the.
Yeah, those are lifeguards that are taking a break playing
Oh, they're all
basketball or
lifeguards.
tennis.
All
Yeah,
right.
those are lifeguards. They're on their break when they're doing that.
All right, I was confused. Does
Oh, no problem.
anybody else have any questions? All right, thanks again. I enjoyed the nice weather and I appreciate you all your time.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry about that
Thank you.
internet issue.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a good weekend. Good holidays.
Did they formally adjourn the meeting?
Um,
I think we lost the
Can I ask
quorum
for a motion? I
anyway.
think,
We lost
Danielle,
the
I think
quorum.
Kathy and I are the only
Okay.
members available.
Yeah.
So Kathy, you want to make a motion? I'll
There's-
Make a
you-
motion to adjourn.
And I'll second
Technically,
it.
technically you can't even
I'm
do
on
it.
it
So
too now.
the meeting's
We're
just
not acting.
over.
We're not acting on anything, right?
No, we're fine.
No.